Hollywood has lost one of its most unforgettable child stars. In June 2026, heartbreaking reports confirmed that actress Daveigh Chase had passed away at just 35 years old after suffering severe medical complications. The news spread across social media within hours, leaving millions of fans shocked and asking the same question. How did the little girl who once gave life to Disney's beloved Lilo become one of Hollywood's most unforgettable legends, only to leave the world so soon? For many people, Daveigh Chase was a voice they grew up with. For others, she was the face of a character that haunted their nightmares. She achieved something almost impossible in Hollywood. She became the heart of one of Disney's most emotional animated films and, at the very same time, one of the most terrifying figures in horror cinema. Very few actors ever create one iconic role. Daveigh Chase created two. But behind the success, the awards, and the worldwide recognition was a journey filled with pressure, transformation, and challenges that most audiences never saw. Today, we are looking back at the extraordinary life of a child star whose performances shaped an entire generation and whose legacy continues to live on long after her final days. Daveigh Elizabeth Chase was born on July 24, 1990, in Las Vegas, Nevada. From an early age, she displayed an incredible imagination and a natural ability to perform. Family members often describe her as energetic, expressive, and completely comfortable in front of a camera. After her parents separated, she spent much of her childhood growing up in Oregon, where she began participating in local modeling competitions, television commercials, and acting auditions. While most children were simply watching movies, Daveigh was already working to become part of them. Every commercial and every small audition became another step toward a dream that seemed impossible for most kids her age. Casting directors quickly noticed something special about her. It wasn't just her confidence. It was her voice. She had a unique ability to express emotion in a way that felt completely natural, making every character sound authentic and relatable. That rare talent would soon open the door to one of the biggest opportunities of her life. In the early 2000s, Disney was searching for the perfect voice for a young Hawaiian girl named Lilo in a new animated movie called Lilo Stitch. The character needed innocence, humor, vulnerability, and emotional depth, all qualities that Daveigh delivered effortlessly. The result was unforgettable. Lilo instantly became one of Disney's most beloved characters, and audiences around the world connected with her story about loneliness, friendship, and the true meaning of family. One simple line. Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind. Became a timeless message recognized by millions. The film was a worldwide success, earning critical praise and introducing Daveigh Chase as one of Hollywood's brightest young talents. Award nominations followed, industry recognition grew, and it looked as though she had a long and successful career ahead of her. But no one could have predicted what she would do next. Just months after becoming the sweet and lovable voice of Lilo, Daveigh Chase accepted a role that would completely transform her public image. Instead of making audiences smile, she would make millions of people afraid to even look at a television screen. And that single performance would secure her place in movie history forever. After the worldwide success of Lilo Stitch, Daveigh Chase seemed destined to become Disney's next big young star. She had everything Hollywood looked for: a recognizable voice, natural acting ability, and a growing fan base that adored her. Most child actors would have continued taking family-friendly roles to protect their image. But Daveigh made a completely different choice. She accepted a role that would change her career forever. Instead of making children smile, she was about to give millions of moviegoers nightmares. In 2002, Daveigh Chase appeared as Samara Morgan in The Ring, the American remake of the Japanese horror classic. At first glance, Samara hardly seemed like a traditional movie villain. She spoke very little. Her face was hidden behind long black hair. She moved slowly and silently. Yet every second she appeared on screen created an unforgettable sense of fear. Then came the scene that changed horror cinema forever. A mysterious videotape. A ringing telephone. And finally, Samara crawling out of a television screen. Audiences around the world were shocked. The moment instantly became one of the most iconic scenes in modern horror history and is still referenced in movies, television shows, and internet culture more than 2 decades later. For many fans, it remains one of the scariest moments ever filmed. What makes Daveigh's performance even more impressive is her age. While many young actors struggle with emotionally intense roles, she managed to create a character that felt mysterious, unsettling, and unforgettable without relying on long dialogues or dramatic action sequences. Her expressions, movements, and quiet presence did most of the work. Critics praised her performance, and horror fans immediately recognized Samara as a new genre icon. Almost overnight, Daveigh Chase achieved something incredibly rare. She became known for two completely opposite characters. One represented love, friendship, and family. The other represented fear, isolation, and nightmares. Few actors in Hollywood history have successfully balanced two such different identities at such a young age. Rather than staying in one genre, Daveigh continued exploring different opportunities. She appeared in the psychological science fiction film Donnie Darko, playing Samantha Darko, the younger sister of the film's main character. Although the movie wasn't an immediate box office success, it slowly developed a passionate fan following and is now considered one of the greatest cult classics of the early 2000s. Daveigh also continued working in television, voice acting, and guest appearances across several popular series. Casting directors appreciated her versatility because she could move naturally between animation, drama, suspense, and horror. For a while, it seemed like she had all the ingredients for a long and successful Hollywood career. But Hollywood is full of child stars who shine brightly before facing an uncertain future. The transition from child actor to adult performer is one of the industry's biggest challenges. The roles change, audience expectations change, and suddenly, the image that once made someone famous can become difficult to escape. Daveigh Chase experienced that reality herself. As she entered adulthood, major opportunities became less frequent. Instead of starring in blockbuster films every year, she appeared in fewer projects and gradually stepped away from the spotlight. Many younger audiences continued discovering her work through streaming services without realizing that the actress behind those unforgettable performances had largely disappeared from Hollywood. Even though she wasn't constantly appearing on movie screens, her impact never disappeared. Every time a family watched Lilo Stitch, they heard her voice. Every Halloween, horror fans revisited The Ring and remembered the chilling performance that made Samara Morgan a cinematic legend. Without releasing new blockbuster films, Daveigh Chase remained part of popular culture. Her characters continued reaching new generations, proving that truly memorable performances never grow old. But while audiences celebrated the characters she created, Daveigh herself was living a much quieter life away from the cameras. Years passed with only occasional public appearances, and the once rising child star slowly became a nostalgic memory for millions of fans. Then, in June 2026, heartbreaking news spread across Hollywood. At just 35 years old, Daveigh Chase's remarkable journey came to an unexpected end, leaving behind a legacy that few actors ever achieve. By the late 2010s and early 2020s, Daveigh Chase was no longer the constant presence in Hollywood that fans remembered from her childhood. Unlike many celebrities who stayed in the spotlight through social media or reality television, she chose a much more private life. Public appearances became increasingly rare. Major film roles slowed down. Interviews almost disappeared. To the outside world, it seemed as though one of Hollywood's brightest child stars had quietly stepped away from the industry that had once celebrated her. But even in silence, her work continued to live on. Every day, new audiences discovered Lilo Stitch and fell in love with Lilo's personality. Every Halloween season, horror fans revisited The Ring, introducing another generation to the terrifying image of Samara Morgan crawling out of a television. Without actively chasing fame, Daveigh Chase remained a permanent part of pop culture. Over the years, Daveigh occasionally appeared in entertainment news because of personal incidents and legal stories that attracted public attention. As with many former child stars, headlines often spread much faster than complete facts. One highly publicized investigation connected her to an incident involving a man who was later found deceased outside a hospital. However, authorities later confirmed that she was not considered a suspect, and no criminal charges from that investigation defined her life or career. Despite the media attention, many fans chose to remember her for something entirely different: the talented young actress who had given them unforgettable childhood memories. Then, in June 2026, heartbreaking reports emerged from Los Angeles. Daveigh Chase had passed away at the age of just 35. According to widely reported information, she suffered severe medical complications involving meningitis and a bloodstream infection that progressed into septic shock and multiple organ failure. The news spread rapidly across entertainment websites and social media platforms. Fans who had grown up watching Disney movies suddenly found themselves revisiting scenes from Lilo Stitch. Horror enthusiasts shared clips from The Ring, remembering the performance that had terrified audiences around the world. Actors, filmmakers, and longtime admirers expressed sadness over the loss of someone whose talent had left such a unique mark on Hollywood. For many people, it felt like losing a small but unforgettable piece of their childhood. Most performers spend their entire careers hoping to create one role that audiences will never forget. Daveigh Chase accomplished that twice. As Lilo, she represented kindness, acceptance, and the belief that family is built through love rather than perfection. Her voice helped transform an animated character into one of Disney's most beloved creations. As Samara Morgan, she became the complete opposite. Without lengthy speeches or dramatic action scenes, she created a horror character so memorable that her image continues to influence modern horror more than 20 years later. One actress. Two completely different worlds. Two performances that became part of cinematic history. Daveigh's story also highlights something much bigger than Hollywood itself. Child actors often grow up under extraordinary pressure. Millions of people watch them succeed, but very few witness the challenges that come with growing older in an industry that constantly demands reinvention. Some continue thriving. Others choose privacy. And many spend years trying to separate their real identity from the characters that made them famous. Daveigh Chase's journey reflected both the beauty and the complexity of growing up in front of the world. Although her life ended far too soon, her work continues to reach millions of people across the globe. Children still smile at Lilo's adventures and the message that family means nobody gets left behind. Movie lovers continue recommending Donnie Darko to new audiences. And horror fans still remember the chilling moment when Samara stepped out of a television and changed the genre forever. Daveigh Chase may no longer be here, but the characters she brought to life continue inspiring, entertaining, and haunting audiences across generations. That is the true mark of an artist. Some stars shine brightly for a moment. Others leave behind stories that never fade. And Daveigh Chase will always be remembered as one of the rare performers who managed to become both the heart of a Disney classic and the face of one of the greatest horror films ever made. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more stories about the lives, careers, and legacies of legendary celebrities, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and tell us in the comments which Daveigh Chase performance you will always remember the most. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.